It's week 1 of the NFL season, and today we're going to do what we always do. We're going to go game by game, matchup by matchup, and try to predict the game flow. And in that game flow, we're going to see or try to predict how the fantasy points are going to be scored and look at the must-start, the big-name players from that matchup. We'll pick one big-name player from each game, and on top of that, pretty much talk about all of them. So we're probably going to talk about 50, 60, 70 players in this video all together on top of the big names. But also, you can drop your start sit questions in the comments below. I'll answer them around Saturday night, and it will be a detailed response going over rankings, numbers, and advanced analytics. So feel free, drop it in the comments, hit the like button, and you need to hit that subscribe button. We're doing this every week, and if I can't do the start sits, I just won't mention it in the start of the video. There may be a time or two, but the majority of the time in this video every week that I do, I will answer your start sit questions. So hit that subscribe button, stop missing out, and then after the week's games, we're going hard on the waiver wire. So make sure you're staying tuned because something's coming at you every day. But we're going to talk about our first matchup here, and it is the Tennessee Titans and the Chicago Bears. I look for this to be a fascinating matchup. We got two young quarterbacks here. The game flow is going to be pretty iffy here. It could be a slower paced game as you got Caleb Williams and company. You got his first ever NFL game. So this could be a slower paced game, or they just let him rip. Yeah, they may just let him rip. They let CJ Stroud rip last year. I get a different coaching staff, different situation. But I think we're going to start trending to where if a rookie's good and looking good, they're just going to let that rookie rip, and I believe he's going to be firing it out. I'm looking at DJ Moore, and when I look at him as a must-start, I'm looking at him as a must-start as, like, I'm fairly okay, I'm fairly good. I'm probably like halfway or a little more than halfway there, feeling good about him. I know he's going to have a good route participation rate. Last year was 95%. Probably going to be pushing that this year. Going to have a good average depth of target. He's going to be targeted downfield. Caleb Williams is going to push it downfield. He's going to get a good target share. Might decrease a little bit with Keenan Allen. That being said, DJ Moore is going to get the looks, going to get the opportunity. And then we look at the run back. And the run back's the other team. Calvin Ridley is the player I feel safe with on the Titans. I look for him to get a good target share. I look for him to get around 20 to 25% of the targets. And for the price on DraftKings, that's a good value. I look for him to get a lot of opportunity in this game. That could lead to fantasy points. I'm always looking at where the targets are going to be at because we got a 44.5 over under. It's kind of low to moderate, so it's not super low, but it's not really in the middle to where you're like, hey, this game could jump either way. The thing is, if these young quarterbacks sling the rock and they're efficient, they push it downfield and they're able to connect, we might hit the over. That could potentially happen, but we're also looking at young quarterbacks and they could be doing what young quarterbacks do, and it could be a slower game script. So when I look at the spread here, it's tight, but it could break either way. Patriots, Bengals, 41 over under, it's lower. This could be a nasty game, but on top of that, you're watching Jacoby Brissett. You're watching how these pass catchers do in the Patriots offense. Can they connect? Can they keep the ball flowing? The Bengals operate with a slower paced offense when it comes to seconds between plays. However, if T. Higgins can get downfield, if T. Higgins can make plays happen with Jamar Chase back, that could be a big thing. He propped up on the injury report, but he said he's going to be okay. We'll see about that. But Chase is too easy as a must start. So I'm throwing T. Higgins down there because he gets a good average depth of target. 12.8 last year, 17.8% of the targets. But remember, some of those games that he was in, he got injured. So that kind of lowered his target share. He's probably going to push around 20% target share throughout the season. Games like this too, where the pressure is going to be on Jamar Chase, the coverage is going to be rolled to him. Those are going to be games where T. Higgins might get an extra look here and there on some of these drives. So that's something to look at. You want to watch these running backs. I'm not 100% certain on these running backs considering we got a low over-under. But around the goal line, I believe Zach Moss is probably going to get that touch. He's probably going to get that touch. He might fall over the goal line. That might allow him to be pushed over for fantasy production. The run back here, the only guy I feel safe with the Patriots, Ramondre Stevenson. I feel like he's going to have a good year this year. I feel like there's going to be a lot of volume in this offense for him. I think he's going to be a sneaky play, and I think the volume is going to be enough for him to get around like 12 points this week, maybe around 12 to 15. 15 maybe like on the high. 12-ish. Safe play, low, maybe 9, but he's going to get enough workload where he's not going to kill your lineup. And I believe Ramondre Stevenson, the upside is this: the Patriots can move the football a little bit, and they give him those red zone looks. And then you're looking at the Cardinals and Bills. 47 over-under, and the reason why this is important is because Vegas can't be off on this point total too much. They can't, or everyone's going to bet one way or the other, and the money's just going to slide that way. So they got to be in the middle as much as possible on this prediction. You look at last night's game, they had a 46 to 46.5 over-under. It went at 47 points. I was telling you to hit the under. I was wrong on that. It got there by 1 point, but I knew it was not going to surpass that too much. But when we look at this matchup, you're starting a lot of players in this game. Kyler Murray will crush. He better, because you got Marvin Harrison Jr., Michael Wilson, and Greg Dortch has been looking good in training camp and OTAs, minicamp, and preseason. He should crush in this game because all teams were able to run the ball in the Cardinals last year. James Cook should have a decent one. Watch out for Ray Davis. Watch his touches. James Conner's going to get touches. He's going to get workload. And I believe Marvin Harrison Jr., he's an elite prospect. We should see him do elite prospect things. He should at least get 5 targets. I'm more likely seeing him get 6, 7, 8 targets, maybe even more in this game. Should be getting the volume. I look for this to be a fast-paced game. I look for the Bills to be able to roll, running the ball a little bit, and then start pushing it downfield, trying to get them air yards, and that's going to cause the Cardinals to be able to roll a little bit as well as they start going back and forth. This should be a fun matchup. But Marvin Harrison Jr. going into week 1, he's in a matchup here where he could go boom, and now we got the Texans and Colts. It's a very fascinating matchup here. Mixon's healthy. He's going to get touches. Last year, you could run on the Colts a little bit. That could be different. Maybe they're more middle of the pack. Maybe they're a lot better. But the volume's going to be there. The opportunity's going to be there as well. You cannot stack the box against the Texans. You can't do that against Diggs, Tank, and Nico Collins. You can't. And now you got to gamble on the wide receivers because they're all good. One's going to hit, one's going to be so-so, and one's going to be a little bit lower. They're going to have the carousel. This is going to be a top-tier carousel because you got a lot of talent here. I look for Diggs to get targets. I look for Tank to get some targets too over the middle. And if it'll mount to fantasy points to where it's relevant for your leagues, we will see. And I think Nico's going to get a couple deep balls. We look at the run backs. It's obvious for the Colts. The ball's going to be funneled to Pittman and Jonathan Taylor. Talking about A.D. Mitchell, he's going to be a splash play option. I believe he will give you potential for fantasy production, but it's going to be very iffy and spotty. But if he can reel in a deep target or two while he's on the field, that could be a big game for him. But Mixon should be getting some opportunity here. We're looking at 48.5 over-under in this matchup with a tight spread. So they're saying, Vegas is, that this is going to be back and forth and that they're going to score points, which could lead to production for these players. Mixon's going to get touches. You're looking at these wide receivers and you're just hoping for the best. Hopefully you don't have multiple Texans wide receivers, but hopefully you're able to start the right one. All 3 of them are startable. All 3 of them could get it this week. Stroud, easy start every week. Jaguars, Dolphins. I'm just going to say it, make it easy for you guys. You're starting everybody. This is the matchup you're looking at. This is 2 fast-paced teams that's going to get after it. The Jaguars are one of the most fast-paced teams in the NFL. The Miami Dolphins can push it quick and in a hurry. 49 over-under. I would not be surprised if this game goes off. I also would not be surprised, considering they're both fast-paced, that they stalemate a little bit. Matchup like this breaks ties in your decision-making for your lineups because anybody in a matchup that's this high scoring with this much potential could get it. We're looking at Christian Kirk. He should be getting a lot of targets here, getting targets underneath, should be getting funneled a good bit, should be pushing a 20% target share, should be getting opportunity. Travis Etienne's also a good bet. You're starting all Dolphins who are getting considerable snaps. You're starting the running backs Mostert and HN. You're starting Waddle. You're starting Hill. There's no questions about that. Brian Thomas and Gabe Davis, upside plays. One of them's probably going to splash on you. Because they're going to have to push the ball downfield. They're going to have to be aggressive to keep up with the Dolphins. These teams are going to be trying to keep up with each other. One of those guys are going to hit on you. You're just going to have to close your eyes and pick. That's just what you're going to have to do. Steelers, Falcons, might be a slower paced game. 42 over under. Vegas is saying that. Vegas is saying that, so this might be lower scoring, but it could also break loose. If Russell Wilson can get confident, be efficient, push the ball downfield, that might happen. You're watching Kyle Pitts. It sounds like he's going to be on the field, but Drake London, easy 20% target share this week. Should be getting volume. Bijan Robinson, of course. Those are just easy starts. You're watching Pitts. He'll probably be out there. The run back, really the only safe play on Pittsburgh's George Pickens, but it's not 100% safe. He's just safe to get targets, and I think at the minimum 4 to 5 targets, and it might push for more, but they should be more accurate targets downfield. They should be smarter targets going his way, and I believe his average depth of target will be solid, and I believe he'll be pushed air yards, which means at minimal, he should be giving you at least some more splash weeks this year. And when this team's being pushed and when they got to move the ball down the field late in games, they're going to look at him because that's what they did in training camp every day in practice. Both him and Justin Fields. Both of them. 42 over under. Vegas saying this is going to be a lower scoring game, slower paced game, but there's still going to be some opportunities. Some guys got to score fantasy points. Panthers at Saints, 41.5 over under. Vegas doesn't really like this game. But when you're watching this, you got to look at where the targets are going to go, who's going to be the guy. Deontay Johnson should push for 20% of the target, should be getting his opportunity. That could be the safe route to go. Chuba Hubbard, you want to watch the touches in this backfield. I did the Miles Sanders video earlier this week, pretty much sounding an alarm. You need to watch the touches in this backfield. Chuba should be the guy, and I'm not saying Miles Sanders is going to usurp him. I'm saying this is a new coaching staff. New coaching staffs do what they see at practice, and if Miles Sanders is looking healthy because he wasn't healthy last year, and he's rolling with a good pop in his step like we're seeing in the clips, that could be more of a split than what you want, but Chuba Hubbard should be the guy. I'm not 100% trusting it. Run backs, obviously, Alvin Kamara and Olave, but Perry Shaheed. Perry's on the injury report. We're watching him. He should be consistent where Shaheed's going to be up and down, but the over-under's kind of low, so I'm not going to trust Shaheed in this matchup. A.T. Perry, if he's healthy on the field, looking good. He might get you some consistent targets. Might be a dart throw play in DFS. You shouldn't be starting him right now unless you're in a deep league. Same thing with Shaheed. Hopefully you drafted wide receivers this year. Hopefully. Vikings at Giants, 41.5 over-under. This game could be a shit show, and you could throw on the Vikings, and that was last year. Things could have changed. They could have schemed up a lot better. Malik Neighbors better get a 20+% target share. Better be pushing 30. If I'm Danny Dimes, and I'm not funneling him targets, he just needs to go to USFL. He needs to go to NFL Europe and play by himself. That's just what needs to happen. And in a pass funnel situation here, that could have lent the fantasy points to him. Do I trust it? Not 100%. It's his first game out there. It's the Giants. It's Danny Dimes. I don't 100% trust it, but I do trust his talent over the long term. But sometimes you just got to make that play. You made that draft pick as well. And then you're looking at the Minnesota Vikings. You can only trust the top players here. Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones should be getting volume. Justin Jefferson is the guy. Broncos in Seattle, 41.5 over-under. This is going to be a run-heavy game. They're going to protect Bo Nix. Kenneth Walker's going to get a lot of work. He's going to get a lot of opportunity. He should do well in this matchup, considering the Broncos weren't great against the run last year. They allowed 21.7 fantasy points per game to running backs in PPR. He should be getting looks and opportunity. Watch Zach Charbonnet. Watch the touches in this backfield. The Denver run funnel is real, and it could bleed over here in 2024. Bo Nix, will he make rookie mistakes? Because if he does that, we may see more of the run game for Seattle as they get ahead, but that could also push up the Broncos to be faster paced in the fourth quarter. Watch Javonte Williams. He should be getting work, should be getting opportunity. Watch for Greg Dulcich. Watch for him as the guy over the middle getting those targets, because Bo Nix dinks and dunks. He will not pushing downfield. He will take the smart route at least and get it to the guy open, get it to the guy underneath, and live to fight another down. So that could mean Greg Dulcich. Another guy, Cortland Sutton, if they're behind and they're trying to push it, deep target, sprayed downfield, fourth quarter, maybe brings one in. Raiders, Chargers, 40 over-under. And we're going to see a lot of run in this game. Both coaches talk about handing it off. Gus Edwards, Zamir White, lots of touches. Maybe Alexander Madison with those ancillary run touches as well, especially around the goal line. Maybe he falls over that. Slow, ugly game. Old school football game. Devontae Adams, got that spelled wrong. I got that spelled wrong. But Devontae Adams maybe should be getting targets. The passing game on both teams is going to be a little bit slower. Ladd McConkey, Josh Palmer, probably a pick your poison situation at this point. Over-under is very low. Vegas is saying, hey, these two teams are going to run the ball. These two teams are going to run the ball. We're not going to get a ton of fantasy points here. Good luck with that. How can this game break? Is if the Raiders are able to move the football and push the Chargers. But I believe we're going to start off slow because both teams want to run the ball, run clock, run at a slower pace. We got a new coaching staff acclimating. We got the Raiders with a new quarterback acclimating. This is going to be an ugly one. Cowboys, Browns, 41 over under. Last year, these were two nasty defenses. I'm not confident about anybody. That's why I put CeeDee Lamb there. I'm not confident. Rico Dowdle with the coach speak sounds like he's going to get the touches, but it may not matter in this matchup. It's going to be an ugly, slow game with the defenses coming through. I look for the Browns to win this one, but usually when I call things, because I'm not really looking at who wins, who loses, betting scenarios, I'm kind of off on those. But I look for the Browns since they're home. They should be able to pull this out. Run backs, Amari Cooper, Jerry Jeudy, Njoku, Jerome Ford. One of those guys are going to do something. I know that's a blanket statement. I think Jerome Ford's going to get the workload where he's going to give you something. I think one of the wide receivers between Amari Cooper and Jerry Jeudy will at least give you baseline production. At least be good enough for your lineup. Pick your poison. And then Njoku could be the hitter around the goal line and then over the middle. They got some pieces here to really push the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb's got a hit for the Cowboys. Nobody else in this offense is going to hit unless CeeDee Lamb hits. I'm staying away from Brandon Cooks. I'm staying away from Jalen Tolbert. I'm staying away from all the ancillary role players. Ferguson's all right to roll with because he's going to get those goal line targets. He's going to get opportunity. He's going to get some work done. But this is not an optimal matchup. But again, I'm probably still going to roll him out there in most start-sit scenarios. Commanders, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Last year, the year prior to that, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers was a pass funnel. This might be great for Jaden Daniels in his first ever start, but he's still a rookie in his first game. This could be ugly. 42.5 over under. Vegas is saying, hey, this is going to be a slow game. This is going to be a slow-paced matchup. We don't like this matchup. But with Terry McLaurin being the incumbent here, expect him to get 20+% share of the targets. Expect him to get opportunity and opportunity downfield. Is he a must start? Is he a must start? You might have other options. But this is a good matchup potentially if Jaden Daniels looks good. If he doesn't look good, this could be horrible. You're just going to have to bite the pill and see what happens. Run backs, Evans, Godwin. One of those guys are going to do something. They're must starts every week, really, with Baker Mayfield back there. I do look for this offense to run at a little bit slower clip because Canales is gone. Also, there's some offensive line issues there. Rashad White's going to get workload until he gets banged up. That's just what's going to happen. He's always going to be a must start. Rams, Detroit, 52 over under. And you're starting everybody. You're throwing these players to the wind and say what's happening because this is a money matchup. You see a 52 over under. You see a 50 plus over under. You look at the teams and you just imagine the probabilities here. More often than not, a lot of these players are going to hit. You got Jahmyr Gibbs. You got David Montgomery. There's going to be opportunities. Amon-Ra, of course. Sam Laporta, of course. Jameson Williams could be a guy that splashes here. Usually deep threats who are pushed in these situations where the offenses are going back and forth. That could lend to a scenario where he gets a couple extra deep targets as the defenses lock on to Sam Laporta and Amon-Ra St. Brown in some scenarios as they're just slinging the rock around. This could also be a little bit slower pace. It's not like Detroit has a bad defense at all, so that could rock up our fantasy football plans. Notice I'm giving you both scenarios because I'm talking with you, not at you. Give me that respect. And then also the run back here. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. Obviously, Nacua is going to be out there. It sounds like it. Kyron Williams, especially if you get points for returning punts. I'm not worried about that. He should be getting good workload, but scaled back a little bit, I hope, so he can last the full season. Blake Corum, as a dart throw, maybe, but not as a must start. Jets, Niners, 43.5 over under. This is going to be a slugfest. This is going to be a good old-fashioned football. All studs are startable, but not all the studs will hit. That being said, I'm saying all the studs are going to get workload, but it may not amount to enough fantasy points for all of them, but 1 or 2 of them are going to hit, but you're not going to know which one. Debo might be the guy here, considering the Jets are going to lock down. Christian McCaffrey's on the injury report right now. Ayuk's on the outside, but Debo gets those touches over the middle. The short touches might get schemed up a little bit. That could add for a couple touches. And in a matchup like this, I can definitely see the coaching staff scheming that up. That no one's locked here. Nobody's a lock. Not even Garrett Wilson. Breece Hall is probably the lockiest player here because I know he's going to get used in the run game and in the pass game. Garrett Wilson should be okay. Should be okay, but it's not a lock due to the matchup. But he's going to get better targets. The flow of this game is going to be slow. Aaron Rodgers runs at a slow pace, so the Jets' offense is going to be slow. The Niners is not exactly fast-paced. They like to run the ball a bit. They like to use short targets to Deebo Samuel. That runs clock. So this is going to be a slower game in terms of plays ran, so less opportunity, 2 good defenses. This is going to be a slobber knocker, and you're going to start the studs, but I'm going to tell you this, they're not all going to score fantasy points. We just went matchup to matchup for Sunday's games and Monday night game to let you know who to start, going over how the fantasy points could be scored. If you got other ideas, drop it in the comments below. Of course, I'll be answering your start-sit questions Saturday night. I'll go through all of them one by one, give you some detailed answers. Make sure to hit that subscribe button on the way out. I want to thank you for watching. Catch you on the next video.